Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to a very sort of a different kind of update for me. It's not a sort of traditional where I would present it and then go through the thing. This is just sort of update videos on this build. This is the JPG Productions version of the Nebulon hospital ship from Jedi. And I picked this up at Wonderfest about 3 years ago, and it sat in its box. And you know how I feel about things sitting in boxes. Not a huge fan. I like them finished and on a shelf. The only problem with this beauty is that it's big. And when you consider the scale of some of the models that I have in the shop, which I never stopped to consider when I went crazy on a spree of picking up kits a few years ago. But anyway, well over 30 inches long when it's finished, but it's a beautiful piece. And what I love about it is I just love how distinct and unique it is. And it's got that wonderful dystopian feel to it. Armor plated, lots of detail. And so here it is, it's on the bench. And you can see I've laid out all the pieces. Now, when I say I've laid out all the pieces, there's a few here. There's a few behind me. They're kind of spread out, but you know, it's the nature of the beast, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of this and then putting it away and doing a little more. I'm not lighting this kit, but I do have to figure out a way to display it, and I've been thinking about that, and I do have some thoughts, and so when I have more info on that, I will report in. But anyway, enough of me. Let's sort of dive in a little bit. Let's take a look at a picture of the model. Here it is. This is the actual model I'm building, and I have to say, you know, you can reach Jimmy over on Facebook. He's JPG Productions, and you'll find him there. He's a lovely man, and he's so helpful. And he will do everything to help you get through it. Now, having said that, this is not for the faint of heart. This is a kit that, even, believe it or not, is probably above my pay grade. But I'm doing it, and I'm going to do it slowly and take my time. It's also going to need a little bit of gacking up and to help it. There are a few seamishes, but for the most part, it's really the detail on it is beautiful. Now, when you get it, if you get this kit, it comes with a rod so that you can see from, well, you can see from the rear of the ship to the very front of it. You've got that long pole, or I should say that long neck is probably what it is. And you can see the Millennium Falcon is parked there, and this is how we first meet it. And obviously, over time, that could sag, and so that's the purpose of this, which is to allow you to sort of get, not only if you want to run wire from one end to the other, but also to stop this from sagging. So this has to go in, and I'm working on those detail parts now, trying to figure out how it all goes together and where exactly, you know, how much of this rod I have to cover. And to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, it comes with two massive directories. The first directory it comes with, let me put this down for a second, is your instructions. Now, they come on a USB drive now. When I got mine, it was on a CD-ROM, and I couldn't open it. So a friend of mine, Dylan, who, if you're watching, Dylan, thank you again for taking that CD-ROM and getting it into a PDF that I could actually have printed. And I've printed it. And here it is. And so you can see, you start, don't let this confuse you. This is actually a profile shot of the ship when you're looking at it on its face. So all of these colored elements are in fact the elements that you can see on the bottom left here that dangle from the very top of this thing and drop down. And so you literally have to go through it, and it's color coded. So Jimmy, if you're colorblind, this doesn't help anybody, but it's awesome. You just sort of go through, and you sort of chip away at it. Look at this. Look at the size of that. And then you've got an incredible amount of reference material so that you can see where all the parts need to go. And you get them in incredible detail. I mean, like, you know, the amount of detail that's on this is absolutely incredible. And you can see from this photograph that you're just looking at wonderful details. And so you go through, and the idea is that you go through from book to book, and you figure it out. So let's take a look at where I am now. I have it over here on the bench because what I'm doing is I'm starting to build the rear section, not the neck section, because until you start to sort of get some of it assembled, you can't really tell where you are. So this is that long neck section that where all the pieces will join to. If you were going to light this, you would have to do an awful lot of drilling and wiring. I'm not going to. There's just no point in me doing that. But I've been slowly trying to sort of figure out where everything goes. You would think it would be pretty straightforward, but it's actually quite complex. But now that I have the base of it together, I can start working on the various different elements and how they sort of all go together. And then I can start figuring out how to glue these elements. You can't really do it as sub-assemblies. You really need to, I think, lay it down like this so that you have a base to work on. And then you start to sort of build away at it as I'm doing here. Then I know that I've got a little bit of epoxy puttying to do, but this is one of the secrets, is trying to figure out how to get this all lined up, because all this has to be lined up in order for you to actually start assembling things. But the good thing about it is because it's got a lot of plate work to it, if you've got some issues or you've got some gaps, they're relatively easy to disguise. But this is not for the faint of heart. This is, I don't mind telling you, this is intimidating me, but I think it's a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of start to work on this in terms of assembly, and then in this update, I'll give you a little bit of a progress report. We're going to keep these to about 20-minute chunks for everybody's sanity, including mine. Okay, so we'll come back. The next segment, I should have a little more progression, and I can show you where I am and what I've been thinking through. I'm starting to learn how this goes together, and it does key. And there is keying, it does key together. So now it's just a function of getting it to stay. And be able to good. Just get some a little bit of okay. So now this looks starting to look pretty good. See, now I've got to do the other side, and I know this drops. Let's see here. Drops in like that. To make sure that I'm good. Okay, now I'm going to do a little. I think I'm going to get a clamp here. Just to make sure that I can learn to get my test fitting correctly. Okay, make sure I'm out to where I want to be. Okay, let's just make sure. That that's looking correct. And I've got small, there's definitely some warping, so a bit of a challenge with that is that that's supposed to come all the way up to there, like that. So, and that does leave a small, looks like a small gap where that's not clearing nicely. Now, it's flush at the bottom, but it doesn't clear nicely there. So I'm going to have to, these are some areas where I'm going to have to add some plating, I think. Because I can't, this wants to slide up more, but it doesn't have the material on this side. Now, I could sand this down just a little bit, and okay, let me do that. Let me sand this down just a little bit here. I'm gonna excuse the noise. It should sit on there a lot nicer. And it does. And it almost clears everything. Where it's not clearing, see on the, yeah, where it's not clearing here, right here, I've got to slide that into position, but I think I'm as good as I'm going to get, so I'm going to call that good. And then the question then becomes is just in terms of what I do here, because I think I'm going to go flush there and I'm not going to worry about that side. But I do know that that has to sit, I think it has to sit flush, it doesn't sit on a table. I'm going to see. I'm going to check that reference right now before I install this. Okay, that is on. Now the next piece to go on will be this top cap, which I have to now adjust for, because it's not going to sit. It's not going to sit nicely on there just yet. And then I have to figure out, oh there, it's sitting on there now. So that will look like that. And I've got this gap on this side that I'll have to figure out what I'm doing with. I should be completely lined up. I believe I'm completely lined up. Let me, yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm pretty lined up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna glue this top on just yet. For a bunch of reasons, most notably because I've got to figure out how this now sits in here like this, because I don't know what I'm doing in terms of the side of this. So I've got to what I got to do is just figure out here. Let me turn this around a little more like that so you can see it. Is this piece goes on like this. This will sit in here. I've got to get that adjusted correctly. But that'll sit in here nicely like this. And then I just have to figure out what else goes in this gap here. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. But that's a tremendous amount. That's a tremendous amount of progress for this. So that's the next step, is to look at this as a whole, and then we'll figure out, where our gaps are and what we have to do to fill those in. And we'll be doing that with plastic card and some detail, because it's all going to get painted, obviously. I'm going to paint it black first, and then I'm going to go with my classic Star Wars insignia white, and then we'll detail and wash from there. But really happy with the way this is coming together. One of the things I'm learning is that these kinds of kits, there are not specific details on where the part was molded, and it looks like it keys in and it looks like it keys correctly, but it's actually off. Sometimes it can be off by 4, 5, 6 millimeters, and that's got to be sanded and shaved and then dropped into place. And it does all finally come together, and so you finally start to get comfortable with how it all keys and goes together. And then of course we'll do some puttying and other sealing up. But that's where the fun comes in. I can imagine all the greeblies that got added to these production models and how much fun they had trying to figure out where all the detail goes. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I have to say, getting going took me several hours. Before I actually had the courage to start recording, I actually had to study this and go through it for quite some time just to get myself comfortable with it. But now I'm used to the way this is being explained in terms of the details. If there's another one of these types of builds comes along, I think I'm going to be ready for it. So we'll carry on. Okay, so just to give you an idea of, well, it's a relatively unstable model without some kind of a base. So the next big thing I have to work on is an acrylic base. It's going to need something here, and then to sit under it here, and it has to be, or here, and it's obviously something that's not going to interfere with all of the other gack that droops down. To get it to this point was quite tricky. Interestingly enough, the way this is designed, where all the gaps are, there's additional greeblies and gack to put over it, including these plates which sit on it as well, and they cover up an awful lot of this sort of section, which right now looks a bit like a dog's breakfast. But once we start to get it really sorted, then I can start adding a lot of the greeblies and cleaning cleaning up things that I know are going to be an issue. It's interesting. The pipe, yeah, it goes into the model, but it's not going to prevent this from really sagging. It might prevent. It's going to prevent this whole arm from, it has to have something stable to sit on. So that's why that's there. But at the end of the day, this has got a lot of girth. Yeah, let me get it out of the thing for a second here and get it more into camera. You can see it's going to continue to go on and on and on. I'm struggling to sort of show this to you, but I think you can see that it's coming together quite well, and I'm happy with it. Seams are sort of relatively okay. Yeah, we'll put it there. Seems good. It's got a lot of great detail to it, so I think it's really going to gack up quite well. And that's an awful lot for me to have done in one day, but I'm super happy with it, and I love all the detail on it. And it's going to be a lot of fun to get finished. So I think I will leave it there for this quick update. I don't want to make these too long. I'll try to make these bite-sized and enjoyable for everybody, but enjoying this quite a bit. So thanks for putting up with me today and my indulgence as I build this Nebulon-B from Jedi. A lot of fun. And we'll continue the next progress update, and I'll show you the progress that I make. So there you go. As always, I wish all of you be safe, be well, build something, guys, and I'll see you on the next update. Take care, everybody.